My name is Carl Legum. I'm the manufacturing engineering manager here at Blue Ridge. In the CNC department, we have around 43 pieces of equipment. Blue Ridge as a whole, we're over 55 pieces of equipment, and there's probably 20 different versions of chip conveyors on them. Generally, in the past history dealing with buying capital equipment, there was never a lot of research put into it. There was never a lot of help from the dealers on what you should put on with what you're running. So it's kind of like poke and hope. Well, we've kind of always had this on our previous equipment. When we were on cast iron, we always had the issue of the excess mud and the powder, and it always caused us to change out our coolant tanks much more frequent than what we had to on other, cold rolled steel, 1045 stainless, those kind of materials. What happens is it turns into a powder. It fills up the tank with this powder. You start getting a lower quantity of coolant in your tank, which then causes you to change out sooner, and it wrecks your coolant at a faster pace. So I talked with Adam Quimby, our manufacturing engineer for CNC. He reached out to Chris Welke from Jorgensen, told him what our issues were, so he kind of gave what his idea was for the best option for us, which is the Mag-Drag.
So our troubles with the original system was when you're machining casting, it creates a lot of dust, and that dust kind of turns into like a muddy type substance in the bottom of the tank. It's really hard on pumps. It's really hard on pretty much everything. It clogs the coolant system, all the lines and all of that. My understanding of it is that there's a magnet in there and the coolant flows over and around the magnet and collects a lot of that casting dust that's given us trouble. As it's collected, the drag part of it scrapes over the magnet and brings it up and dumps it in the chip hopper. You have the bigger chunks that aren't usually an issue. You can see the big silvery chunks here, but then you get into the finer grainy stuff that's kind of sticking to the side here. That's the kind of stuff that collects in the bottom, and once it sits down in there, it just kind of corrodes and turns to mud as it sits in there and doesn't get evacuated out.
Where we see the most gain is the amount of between changings from new coolant to refreshing. The old way we were doing about once a month, now we do about 4 to 6 months. Generally, like when we clean this tank out, it's about 8 to 12 hours. It's a pretty cumbersome job. We shut down the spindle for that amount of time. Plus, we have direct labor where 2 guys are actually pulling this tank out, so we double the labor on that. But we used to do that 12 times a year, and now we do it 2 to 3 times a year. So you just take that by your hourly rate, plus your spindle time loss, comes up to a pretty substantial savings.